Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines. At least 16 people have been killed during a week of unrest in Iran as protests over soaring inflation spread across the country, sparking violent clashes between demonstrators and security forces. Deaths and arrests have been reported through the week, both by state media and rights groups, though the figures differ. President Masoud Pezeshkian has told the Interior Ministry to take a kind and responsible approach toward protesters, saying society cannot be convinced or calmed by forceful approaches. China and Pakistan have reaffirmed their all-weather strategic partnership during the 7th round of the China-Pakistan Foreign Ministers' Strategic Dialogue, pledging deeper cooperation across diplomacy, security, economy, and regional stability. Both sides held detailed discussions on strategic and political cooperation, defence and security, economy, trade, investment, and cultural and people-to-people exchanges, while also reviewing regional and global developments of mutual interest. China and Pakistan also agreed to build CPEC 2.0, aligning development plans and focusing on industry, agriculture, and mining. US President Donald Trump says the United States may launch a second military strike on Venezuela following the capture of President Nicolas Maduro, if remaining members of the administration do not cooperate with his efforts to get the country fixed. Trump's comments to reporters aboard Air Force One raised the possibility of further US military interventions in Latin America, and suggested Colombia and Mexico could also face military action if they do not reduce the flow of illicit drugs to the United States. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said that Beijing cannot accept any country acting as the world's judge after the United States captured Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro. Wang told his Pakistani counterpart, Ishaq Dar, in Beijing, that China never believed that any country can act as the world's police, referring to sudden developments in Venezuela without directly mentioning the US. He said the sovereignty and security of all countries should be fully protected under international law. The Cuban government has said that 32 of its citizens have been killed during the US raid on Venezuela to extract President Nicolas Maduro for prosecution in the United States. Havana said there would be 2 days of mourning on January 5th and 6th in honor of those killed, and said funeral arrangements would be announced. The Cuban government statement gave few details, but said all the dead were members of the Cuban armed forces and intelligence agencies. Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, has invited the US government to collaborate on an agenda of cooperation in a statement on social media that struck a conciliatory tone following the US capture of President Nicolas Maduro. She said that Venezuela aspires to live without external threats and that she wanted to prioritize moving towards balanced and respectful relations with the United States. The United States may raise tariffs on India if New Delhi doesn't meet Washington's demand to curb purchases of Russian oil. Donald Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One to a question on India's Russian oil purchases that they do trade and the US can raise tariffs on them very quickly. The leaders of Denmark and Greenland have urged US President Donald Trump to stop threatening to take over Greenland after he reiterated his wish to do so in an interview. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said in a statement that it makes absolutely no sense to talk about the US needing to take over Greenland. The US has no right to annex any of the 3 countries in the Danish kingdom. The Greenland Prime Minister said the US President saying, "We need Greenland," isn't just wrong, it's disrespectful. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been transferred to Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center in New York following a U.S. military operation in Venezuela, U.S. media report. Maduro is expected to face federal criminal charges related to drugs and weapons and will be formally arraigned in Manhattan Federal Court in the coming days. His wife may also face arraignment, though her detention status is unclear. The Metropolitan Detention Center, known for housing high-profile inmates such as Ghislaine Maxwell and R. Kelly, is a high-security facility with a reputation for harsh conditions. At least 40 people, including civilians and military personnel, were killed in recent U.S. strikes on Venezuela, the New York Times reports. The strikes followed a U.S. military operation that captured President Nicolas Maduro. One airstrike hit a 3-story residential building in Catialamar, near Caracas's main airport, destroying homes and displacing families. Among the dead was 80-year-old Rosa Gonzalez and members of her family. Survivors described widespread loss and despair. The operation, involving air, land, and sea forces, escalates tensions between Washington and Caracas. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.